Hello everyone, welcome back to Long Switch Academy, and you are watching another episode of our course Salesforce Flows for Beginners. And today we are going to talk about another type of Salesforce flows, which is scheduled triggered flow. Before I move forward with this episode, let me introduce myself. This is your host Shubham Prajapati, and I try to bring step by step guides for different topics on Salesforce. If you like our channel, if you like our content, do not miss to subscribe, share, and ring that notification bell icon. So today we are going to talk about scheduled triggered flow, packed with detailed overview, key points, real world use cases, and followed by one practical demonstration of scheduled trigger flow. This episode has a lot of things to offer with regards to Salesforce scheduled triggered flow. So I request you to watch till the very end. You will definitely get value out of it. Before we begin, don't miss to subscribe to our channel. Let's begin this episode by first taking quick overview of Salesforce schedule triggered flows and followed by its key points and some common business use cases. For the sake of easiness, I have tried highlighting all these things in a slide so that we can go through these points one by one. In case you have any questions, any suggestions, or any doubts, you can use the comment section of this video, and we'll try to reach out to you as soon as we can. So let's begin. So what are Salesforce schedule triggered flow actually? These are very powerful automation tools which allows Salesforce to run flows at specific time interval rather than running them manually or by changes in some records. You can schedule these schedule triggered flows at recurring schedule such as weekly, monthly, daily, or yearly based on your businesses. Or you can also define your own custom schedule for such kind of flows. These kind of like what I say, these kind of flows are very different from the record triggered flows because they these kind of schedule triggered flows don't depend on any user interaction or any changes taken on the records. They are independent, they run on their defined schedule. I hope this definition makes it clear to you what are actually schedule triggered flows. And as you can see, I have highlighted these similar points in this slide, so you can just pause this video, go through these points and get an idea. Now this is all about its overview. Now let's talk about some key features of schedule triggered flow. The I have tried highlighting three common what I say key features. Here you can expand this list as you read more about them, but I tried highlighting some of the common key features. The first key feature is automatic execution. What does this term mean? Meaning that the scheduled trigger flows run automatically at its scheduled time without requiring any user interaction or without requiring any changes in the records. Second, bulk data processing. Yes, you heard it right. You can configure the scheduled trigger flows to perform operations on bulk data by querying the data and submitting that to the flow. That can also be done. And the third one is customizable filters, meaning that you can configure the schedule trigger flows to what I say to filter out the number of records that it can process based on applying certain filters while you configure your schedule trigger flow. These terms might be getting a bit tricky or confusing for you because you might not have worked with schedule trigger flows before. So you don't have to worry about it. During this episode, I will walk you through one sample schedule trigger flow where I will tell you about how you can configure the filters to filter out the records that your schedule trigger flow will operate on. So these are the two things. One, we went through the overview and the key features of the schedule trigger flow. Moving on to the next part, that is the common business use cases for the schedule trigger flow. Why I have included this segment into this episode? Because as you know, Salesforce offers multiple types of multiple types of flows. So as an admin, you should be very careful while selecting the type of flow for your next business automation. So therefore, you should know the purpose when in which you should be using Salesforce schedule triggered flows. I have kept this slide here. And as I mentioned previously, I'm trying to highlight some common key features as well as common business use cases. This list definitely can expand as you know more about them, as you explore more or discover more business use cases to which can be handled by scheduled triggered flows. So let's go through these use cases one by one. The first use case here is periodic data cleanup. What does this mean? In any of your Salesforce org in which you will be working, there will be a lot of data that you might not need over the period of time, or there might be some data that you might need to archive from the org after a certain point of time. So those kind of cleanup like cleanup processing or cleanup tasks, you can use your schedule trigger flow, and you can schedule these record trigger flows to run on a weekly basis, monthly basis, or yearly basis based on your business use case. The second is recurring notifications. What does this mean? The recurring, like there are certain what I say certain email alerts or certain notifications that you need to send to your users on a periodic basis. For example, what I say every month or every week you need to remind your sales team to submit their weekly report to their higher management. You can have such business use case where your sales team has to what I say submit their sales report every week to their higher management. For that, you can create a schedule trigger flow which will send this email alert every week to your sales team to notify about the report. So that is about the recurring notification. The third point here is, I think by mistake here, that was a typo. So we'll skip that part. So we will move on to the fourth use case, that is batch updates. What does this batch updates mean? When you work on like actual Salesforce or with your business, there are some use cases in which you have to perform mass field updates or mass record updates based on the certain criteria. And I believe it will be difficult when you sit just uh, at a random time you want to perform those kind of mass updates due to the volume of data available in the org. So often admins, what they can do, they can schedule such mass updates during the weekend, or maybe during a time where there is a less user activity on the org. Therefore there will be no issue with the data, or there will be no issue with the performance or the service that user is using on top of Salesforce org. So for such mass updates or batch updates, you can also use the Salesforce schedule triggered flows. I hope this point is also clear. The fifth part is data synchronization. You wonder what does this term means? In often in many cases it happens that the businesses deal with data across multiple systems. For example, they might be using their POS kind of system or a ERP kind of system to grab their data from the users, or from their storefronts, or from their for example their web stores. And then they integrate Salesforce CRM with those ERP systems or accounting systems to exchange the data. Sometimes what happens, the other systems contain what I say uh, a lot of data to be processed or to be passed to and fro the Salesforce CRM and ERP systems. These kind of data synchronization can happen at a specific point of time, maybe during the weekends, or maybe every hour or every 4 hours, depending on the volume of data, business use case, and the requirements of the business. So for such data synchronization tasks between the Salesforce and the external systems, we can also leverage the scheduled triggered flows. So this is pretty much all about the basic business use cases for schedule triggered flows. In case you have more suggestions for the use cases, do let me know in the comment section below. I would definitely love to hear your opinions. I hope you have now got the basic overview of schedule trigger flow, its key points, and some business use cases. Before I walk you through the practical demo of schedule trigger flow in Salesforce org, let me quickly walk you through a small example in which the schedule trigger flow can be utilized for the automation. As you can see on this slide, for instance, you can create a scheduled trigger flow to send a weekly report to your sales team. It is a like same example that I gave you previously. The flow can generate the report and send it via email at the same time every week, ensuring that your team always has the latest information. That is too without any human interaction and without any what I say changes in the records. So this is a one sample use case in which the scheduled trigger flows fits best, and I believe uh, as you explore more on this type of flow, you will get to know more, or you will discover more business use cases or examples. Now let's create one sample schedule triggered flow step by step. For this demo purpose, I have identified a simple business use case which I will demo you through this step by step tutorial. Do watch till the very end so that you don't miss any steps, and you can also replicate the same process what I say at your end. Just one comment here, this is just a simple exercise. Likewise, you can implement any kind of schedule triggered flow based on your business requirement, and you can achieve this automation. So let's begin. First we'll go through the requirement here. So the title of this flow would be automatically update expired opportunities. Let's say like you have a business and that business needs you to automatically update any opportunities that have passed their close date and set their status to closed. What does this mean? All those opportunities that have already have their closed date passed from today, all which means they all have expired, and then we couldn't make them what I say we couldn't convert them to a customer, so they would be considered as the closed lost. So we want a schedule trigger flow which will identify all our all our opportunities whose close date is already passed, and what I say and we want to update the status of all such opportunities to closed lost. And this flow needs to run every week, and we need to ensure that this flow runs correctly and it correctly identifies the opportunities with the past close date, and it correctly reflects its new what I say new status. So let's implement this. So in order to create this flow, I'll go to my developer org. You can also use your sandbox or any org of your choice, but I suggest always develop your first version of your flows in your sandbox or your in your developer org. So I'm inside my developer org. If get one for yourself if you already don't have it, and I believe you already know how to go to the setup. If you don't, you have to click on this wrench icon, select the setup option, and you will be taken on this page. From the quick find, I'll search for flows, and under the process automation I'll get this option. I'll click on this. Sometimes it takes time to load. So here I'm inside flow setup, and as I want to create a new flow for myself, I'll be choosing new flow option. Since we are creating our very first schedule trigger flow, I'll start it from scratch. I'll choose this option. I'll click next. What is happening? Okay, I think my screen lagged a bit. And from here, the type I will choose schedule trigger flow because that's what we want to create. I'll choose schedule triggered flow as a type and I'll hit create. Okay, all right. This is my this is my flow builder for the schedule triggered flow. Now let's go back to the requirement. The first segment of your schedule trigger flow is to specify the date and time when you want to start your flow and the frequency at which you want to run. So let's go back to the requirement. Here in this segment, we have specified that we want this flow to run every week and we can choose the time of our choice. Here, I'll go back to my flow. I'll choose, let's say I want to start this flow to run from Monday, or let's say since the week ends on Friday, I'll choose it to run from Friday, August 30, and I want it to run every, let's say 8 a.m. I want to run it before the business starts, and I'll choose the frequency weekly. So this is how you should set a schedule for your schedule trigger flow. This is the first requirement. Hit save. It will ask for the name for your flow. Here, as you can see, this is the name that we wanted to give: automatically update expired opportunities. So I'll go to this, give it name as automatically, what was it, automatically update expired opportunities. Okay, okay, this is how the flow label and API name will appear. But as you know, I have a habit of following camel case for the naming convention. So I'll change this name, API name, to this. You can follow the naming conventions of uh, your organization's strategy, or one strategy that you use for yourself. But I prefer to name my API names like this. So I'm just keeping it like this here. I'll hit save. Okay, so my flow is like ready, like the initial setup is ready. Now I'll add what I will add elements to it. The first element would be to identify the records that I want to process as part of this schedule triggered flow. So let's go back to the requirements. Here the requirement says that we need to update all such opportunities whose closed date has been passed uh, from whenever the flow runs. For example, if I go here, this flow will run on every Friday starting from August 30, 2024. So the first uh, time when the flow will run will be on August 30, 2024, 8 a.m. So I want to tackle all the opportunities which have their closed date lesser than August 30, 2024, because those are the only valid ones. So what I'll do, I'll use a get record element. Get records, and I'll name it as get opportunities with past closed date. So this is what it is. We want to get only all such opportunities whose uh, close date is already passed from the date on which the flow runs. So I'll so before we move forward, let me just change the API name here. I really like to stick to the standards, and that's what a good admin should do. Do let me know if you know more standards while developing the flows. I will definitely love to learn your opinions or your suggestions. And here in the get object, we want to choose the opportunity because we want to get the opportunity records. Now we want to get the opportunity records, only those opportunity records where the closed date has already been passed when the flow runs. So for example, today is August 30, because this is the first date on which we have scheduled the flow to run. This is today is August 30, so it will be considered as today only. So I'll go it as system, because the, as I said, it should be less than. So what does this filter mean? For example, today is August 30, because that will be the first day on which this flow will run. So I want to identify all those opportunities which whose close date is less than today, that is the day on which the flow will run. So that's how your filter, that's how this filter will only give you the opportunities whose close date has already been passed and is lesser than the date on which the flow will run. Again, since we have scheduled this flow to run on on a weekly basis, it will first run on August 30, Friday, then it will run on like the uh, first Friday of Saturday, or of September, which is, I believe, yeah, here we can see September 6th. So when this flow will run on September 6th, it will identify all those opportunities whose close date was lesser than August 6th. This is how this will work, and this is how we want it to run. Now we are done with setting up our get element to get the opportunities with the matching filter criteria. Next, what we want to do, let's check out our requirement here. One thing you might be noticing, I'm closely looking at the business requirements while configuring my flow. That's what an admin should do. He should not do anything apart from what is mentioned in the requirement. If it is unclear to you, reach out to the person who has given you the requirements, get it sorted, get it clarified. Never ever assume anything that okay, you have assumed this and this is how it should be working. No, that's a big no. Always get your requirements straight out, then only implement the flows. So here, what we want to do, first we have to identify the opportunities whose close date has already been passed, and then we have to set their status to closed one. As you can see here, we want to set their status to closed one, so which means we have to update them. So what I'll do, I'll add a loop element because I want to update all such opportunities. So I'll loop through it and loop through filtered opportunities. That's what I want to do. And again, I think I have a typo here. Loop through, and I'll just change the naming convention. Collection. Why this collection is not appearing? Let me check this element of mine. Okay, here you see it is just storing only the first record. No, that is wrong. We want to get all the opportunities whose close date has been passed. So I'll choose all. So that's why it is important what you configure and how you configure your flows. So here I'll go to the loop, and now I see my collection variable, and I want to loop first item to last. Yes, I want to loop it in a sequential manner. For now, I'll just hit save. I'm continuously saving my changes so that I don't accidentally lose them. It is a good practice. And now what I want to do, I want to update status on each one of them. So Update will be an assignment. So update, for updating a value, I will use an assignment element. Update, what I say, status on each loop item. And one thing you might be noticing, I'm giving very meaningful labels or names to my elements, so that even if I'm not working on this flow and someone else comes in and try to adjust it, he or she will get to know the exact purpose of the elements, why they have been used for. And here on each of the loop variable, I want to set an attribute. So I'll use this current item from loop, and I will choose status. Do we have a status or stage? Let's see, stage is there. So no, it is not a status field, it is stage. So we want to update the stage. So current item loop stage equals to closed lost. So this is also an what I say, crucial to note on your names. So it should be stage. Sometimes the business requirements come with more generic names that might not align with your field names in your on your objects in Salesforce. So that is to that too you have to like get clarified before you even start selecting your fields for the updates. Since this is just a demo program, we know that we are talking about a stage, not the status. But in the real world situation, the end users might be considering a status field as a separate field from this stage. So it is admin's responsibility to get everyone aligned with what is available in the org and what they are expecting, or what they are naming in the requirements. So this is also a pro tip that you can consider. Update stage on each of the loop item. Yeah, closed one. Now once we have get filtered out the records, loops through them, updated stage on each one of them, we have to update the records in the database. For that we will use update records element. Update opportunity stage, opportunities records, I'll keep it as this. And I'll just change the naming convention here. And now what we want to update, we want to update these same records, this collection, because we just modified this collections records itself. So in the update element under this record or record collection, we'll specify the same collection. I'll hit save. Okay, now we have to debug it to just make sure whether this works or not. Before we even debug it, we'll do one more thing. We will add a fault path. Fault path is nothing but an element that executes when anything goes wrong while performing DML operation in the trigger. Let's see in the action if we find something. What I want to do, in case anything goes wrong in my this schedule trigger flow, I want to notify the user that okay, you tried updating some records in this schedule trigger flow, but it didn't work as expected and there is some error. So I'll send it as send error email alert to user. I'll change the naming convention here. And here in this is a standard send email alert or action that flow provides. So we have to configure certain things, such as we want to add a recipient ID to whom this email should be sent. So I'll go to the system and I'll pick, no, do we have the user? Yeah, I want to select the running user and its ID, under which user this flow tries to run. We want to send the email alert to the same user itself. And recipient address list, also we also need to specify the uh, email address list to whom we want to send this error email. Then we also need to specify the subject. Maybe we can keep uh, a subject like error email for automatically update expired opportunities. uh, I think rather than directly specifying it here, let's create a variable. I'll create a new resource, a variable, and I'll name it like where email subject. Always give meaningful names to your variables so that it becomes easy to understand. I'll give it a default value. Okay. And what do we want to send? What else we don't want to send? We also want to send the body that something went wrong. So what went wrong? We just send the fault message. In any case, if the flow fails and there are some errors, those errors are stored in a fault message global variable. So that contains the basic stack trace of your error, and we will just send that as part of the body. So the user will come to know what might be the problem. And I'll hit save. Before we debug it, there is one change that we have to perform. Here in the get opportunities with past close date, here I think I took a wrong variable, because this system dot origin date time starts or contains the time somewhere in what I say 1900. So instead of this, we should be getting flow variable dot current date time. Sorry, current date, because we want to take the date on which uh, the flow runs as a current date. So that will be coming from this variable. And let's now debug it. Now let's debug it and see if we get any records or any processing. Okay, here you go. First, it tried finding the records with opportunity close date less than August 24, 2024, because since we are debugging it today, and today's date is August 2024, it is trying to find those records and it is finding them. Okay, it found them, you can see that. Then it is looping through all those records and performing the assignment, as you can see, and as you can see from here as well. Then I think somewhere on the update it fails, not because our not because what I say there is some problem in our flow, but maybe some validation is not hitting. Okay, it says closed one is not a valid for the opportunity stage. uh, why is that? Maybe some other changes which I made on the opportunity is causing this to fail. But let's see what it gets. Here you see it is setting the status as closed one. That should not happen. It should be setting up setting it up as closed lost. Let's check what's wrong with this flow. I think I have found the problem here. Since we are looping through the set of records that we are getting here, then we are updating what I say. Then we are updating the fields on the same record, but we are not updating those records within the collection. So this collection get opportunities with past close date has the older value itself. It doesn't hold the updated ones. So the best way would be to create a separate collection variable to store the updated records. So what I'll do, I'll go to my toolbox, I'll add a new resource, I will choose variable where updated op records, and op records, which means opportunity records. I'll select record as type because I want to store entire opportunity record and I want to store multiple. I will choose opportunity as the object because these records will be of type opportunity. I'll hit done, and after every update I will add this updated record to my newly created collection variable. To collection, and I'll just rename this API name to match my naming conventions, and here from the variable I'll choose my where updated op records collection. I will add, and what I'll add each of the loop item. I'll hit save, and here in the update opportunity records I will choose my collection variable. So now this where updated opportunity records collection will have an updated copy of the records. That's what we missed initially. So keep track of these what I say minor issues that you might get or encounter. And I'm just keeping these things in this tutorial because to uh, to let you know that these kind of issues might occur, and there are some steps that you can take to amend these things. I'll run it again. It is running now. Also it is failing. See, let's see what the reason is. So here one thing that I'm noticing, our list is now correctly updating the values with the stage name equals to closed lost and the IDs. That is correct, but then also it is failing. I recall why it is happening, because on the opportunity object I have a record triggered flow which is also running. So sometimes you might encounter some issues which is not happening due to your current flow, but some are other flows that might be running. So I'll go to the flows and I'll look for there was an opportunity flow, I guess. Contact opportunity. So yes, this was the record triggered flow. I think that's what like causing this schedule triggered flow to fail. Let's deactivate it for now, and let's try to close these tabs, and let's try to debug it again. I'll debug our flow again. Okay, you see now it is completed. So what this flow is doing, our flow is getting the matched record based on the criteria, looping through them, assigning them, and then trying to update them. You see, so This is how these you can use or you can configure your schedule triggered flows to like run at specific time intervals. Once you are happy with your debugging and you are making sure that it is working as expected, you can go ahead and activate it so that it will run on a scheduled time. So this is all about our detailed overview of Salesforce schedule triggered flows, and I hope you get value out of it. Before we wrap this episode, I just wanted to highlight a few more points, uh, just to uh, the things that you need to take care or keep in mind while you're working as an admin. Make sure that you optimize your flows to to restrict the number of records they are like they are processing. Do not like do not just randomly configure the record set. Always be careful with the filters that you apply, the records that you send for the processing, because as you know, the Salesforce governor limits comes into the play if you just set a bulk amount of data without optimizing them. So you should be careful about it. Secondly, one important thing that we noticed here, uh, there can be multiple flows and multiple types of flows that can run on a single object, in this case opportunity, which might interfere with each other. Since we are just demoing this or just looking at this sample flow, and we are just looking at for the demo purposes, we just go and deactivated the existing flow. But but in real world situation or real world org, this you can't do that. You cannot just deactivate a flow to make your flow working. So you have to adjust either your flow to match up with the existing flows, or in case there is nothing that you that you can do with the current flow, then you have to talk with the team and enhance the existing flows to match up with your newly developed flows. That is the one thing that you have to take care. So I hope with these pro tips and the detailed overview of Salesforce triggered flows, you are packed with the like guidance on this particular type of flow, and then you can just explore it on your own. Always remember, theory is really important to get through the process of developing any kind of flow, but you get master at it by performing practical exercises.